One topic that everybody is speaking about, myself included, is the future of work, specifically future skills. What are you seeing in terms of what's necessary when we're looking at the future of work in this country?
So what we're seeing in being in, both at a community level with youth across the country who are engaging with science and technology programs through Actua, but also we engage with the corporate sector across the country who support those programs and who tell us about what they need, what they're seeing. It's a combination of technology and what so-called soft skills. I dislike the word soft skills. I don't know what you call it, but I like to call it human skills, human-centered skills. There's long been a debate between, which is more important. Is it the tech skills or is it the other human-based skills like creativity and collaboration and problem solving and people skills? It is 100% both. So it really is about how do we keep kids curious? We know that lends itself to success in that rapidly changing workforce. We also know that kids lose that curiosity as they go through school. So that's why STEM is such a great way for them to continue to foster that curiosity. So it isn't just science, technology, engineering, and math separate. It is an approach where they're actually solving real world issues. They are thinking about big problems and breaking it down into small pieces. They're thinking about design. They're thinking about how users use whatever it is that they might be kind of working on inventing. And they're being creative and they're being curious. And we need to keep those skills going as they develop the digital skills and as they, move through school. So it absolutely is the combo.
It's interesting because I do talk about hard skills and soft skills,
Yes.
and the truth is the soft skills are hard to
Yes.
accomplish, and those harder skills are also difficult for people to understand. Where do I start when I want my child to develop some of those technical skills? When it comes to the future, what skills do you think are the most critical right now?
So 100%. Digital literacy is critical. And when we say digital literacy at Actua, what we mean is both using technology. We all know youth are good at using it, but it's more than just that. It's understanding how it works. So a basic understanding of how technology works. And then experiences that they've had that actually allow them to use that technology to create something, right? Or to solve a problem where they're actually putting it into practice. And that can, certainly in some schools that's happening, but there are all kinds of other programs outside of schools, like Actua's, like other organizations where kids can develop those skills.
There are parents out there who did not grow up with technology, who did not have digital skills. So what do you say to parents who maybe are struggling with how they can introduce some of these skills at home? You mentioned online resources. Is there anything else they can do to be that guide along the way?
We always say, and this is especially important for parents of daughters, like having, I say this and my parent heart kind of like skips a beat, but let them take things apart and let them kind of hack around with things at home, like giving them wood and nails and, tools and things where they're actually thinking through a design and building and exploring. That doesn't require technology, but it is directly related to technology skills. Computer science is about taking a big problem, breaking it down and understanding how each of those things contributes to an end solution. You can do that in your backyard or in your garage or with recycled materials. There's no question that absolutely has an impact.
For educators, oftentimes in schools, they do not necessarily have access to technology or to labs where kids can go and experiment with building robots. What would you say to educators who are struggling right now, who are wondering, how can I introduce some of these skills if I don't have the resources?
It's very impactful when teachers talk to kids about why what they're learning matters. Right? So at Actua, one of the things that we do to bring science and technology alive is we actually say, this is how you use math in everyday life, or this is how science impacts the things that you care about. So it's relevance in kids' lives that is often missing, especially with topics like science and technology. But it's having those open conversations and the space to kind of explore, this is why this matters in the world.
So how does Canada fare in terms of preparing kids for the future of work? Where do we lie in terms of being ready for this next generation of work?
So I think, of course, we live in a country that has a lot of advantages and privileges. We have, safe schools for the most part, and there's a recognition of the importance of digital skills. We've been advocating for, more inclusion of these types of hands-on STEM-based content or curriculum for a number of years, and schools have taken that on, and teachers have. Many teachers have become passionate about incorporating these things. I would say that we're still lagging, though, in terms of having we're challenged because education is held provincially. So there's not it's hard without a national strategy in these areas. We have to kind of work province by province to get these types of skills incorporated. And there is no question that we're behind on digital skill development. We're just seeing coding being introduced and incorporated into formal school curriculum. That's late coming. We know that these are essential skills. We've known that for a long time. So we're playing catch up to a certain extent in this country. I also think there's that digital divide piece that we really need to pay attention to. It existed pre-pandemic. It was exacerbated by the pandemic, but we've got to see who's missing. We've got to find out, how do we re-engage these kids that did not show back up for online school? Where are they? How do we get them back? Because that loss is going to be felt for, a generation. So Actua is, actively looking at how we provide that support to those youth, to the communities, to educators to get that re-engagement so that as a country, we're not feeling it on the social and economic prosperity side.
As the parent of girls,
Yes.
What skills do you hope that girls develop to help them prepare to this future that really is at our doorstep?
Mm-hmm. So I have two young girls, and of course they grow up in a house that is very, where science and technology is talked about a lot, where leadership is talked about a lot. But I see all of the same challenges that I hear and I've heard from parents for 20 years. The societal messages that kids get, that girls in particular get about who can do what and what jobs. What does a job in technology look like? All of those stereotypes and pressures are still very present, even though they live in a house with a very feminist mother and feminist father. And so, for my daughters, and certainly what I hope for every young Canadian, is that they have access to safe learning space, that they have access to technology, and that is something that we are advocating strongly for. This government currently is very committed to bringing more safe, reliable, fast internet connection to rural, remote communities. The skill development for the future of work cannot happen unless youth have access to the internet. And so, that's critical. My daughters have that. So I, feel that they're already ahead. But for me, I focus on them, things like using their voice and understanding the societal impacts of everything, right? We have a lot of social justice conversations in our house, but also, I think one of the things that we are most excited about at Actua is the appetite for youth, and this is mostly high school youth that we work with across the country, for social change. And we want to show them that technology can enable that, and we want to make sure that they have the tools and skills to use tech as a driver, to fill those jobs that we need them to fill, while at the same time really being aware of the implications on society.